Welcome back, Heroclix fans. Today we are looking at my 10 favourite figures from Hammer of Thor. Now this isn't a set I started a little later, but these figures were around so I was able to get them, pick out my favourites. So we're going to look at my top 10 for this set, and then we're going to come all the way up to modern day and the latest set out, which at the minute of recording is DC Rebirth. So bear with me as we go through Heroclix history. Coming in at number 10 we have Nico Minora. Now we've seen plenty of iterations of this since, but basically the ability to pick a power at the time seemed insane to me. I don't know if there was other figures that did it, but this is the first one I saw, and having that ability just seems so useful. There were so many games I played where I needed something but didn't have it. This figure fitted everything you would ever need, and that's why it's number 10 on my list. Number 9 is Penance. Now Penance had a really cool power which said when Penance takes damage from an attack made by an adjacent opposing character, the attacker takes 2 damage. Again, this is the first time I saw anything like that. The fact that they took damage for attacking me seemed so good. He had really low defense, so he was hit a lot. He was only 58 points and the sculpt looked really cool. He also had a cool power which said he can use Force Blast. When he does, he can target all adjacent opposing characters and make a separate roll for each, which again was really cool. It sort of felt like he was just firing everyone back, which made him seem powerful. He also had Quake, which could do similar. It was just a really neat figure, and he was only 58 points. Coming in at number 8, we've got the Son of Surtur, or Flame Demon. Now there were 2 variations of this. I think one was a prize. I never actually had one, but I saw a friend play it. He played Surtur with loads of his sons, and it just looked incredible. Like, I absolutely love the sculpts on these guys. They get knocked onto poison, which is one of my favourite abilities. They also comboed with the fire demons. They could deal damage to anyone stood around them. So it just seemed like a really strong combination. Like I say, one that I never had, but I had played against and loved the figure. Number 7 was Heimdall. Now I love the character and the sculpt was kind of cool, but he had such a long dial. He was 149 points. It was one of the few figures with Indom that I saw. He had 18 defense, which was great, 11 attack, charge. It was 9-10 clicks, just a really strong figure in general. But that was before you even looked at his powers. So his first power says, characters using charge, running shot or hypersonic deal no damage to Heimdall. Heimdall ignores other characters, shape change and stealth. So he ignored some of the strongest powers in the game that I thought at the time. I mean, they are still good powers. And later on he has an ability which says give him a power action and choose a target friendly character that has the Asgardian keyword, and to which Heimdall has clear line of fire. Put the target in an unoccupied square adjacent to Heimdall. Any target so placed can't be given an action until your next turn. It was sort of thematic because he does sort of guide people through with the Bifrost. Really love the character, really love the set in general, but this was one that I had to have. Coming in at number 6 we've got Star-Lord. Now, it was a simple sculpt, but for some reason I just loved it. He had running shot, he had the sharpshooter ability, 8 range, 2 targets for 90 points. His ability said give Star-Lord a range combat action. If he targets a single character, modify his attack value by +2. If he targets more than one, modify his damage value by +2. So he had a lot of versatility. I love the Guardians, just really cool figure, which was actually insanely strong as well. Speaking of insanely strong, coming in at number 5, Captain America. Smoky Feet Cap, you've probably heard of him. So his opening click is 10 running shot, 10 attack, 18 defense with energy shield. Bearing in mind figures around this time had sort of 9 attack, 3 damage with leadership. Captain America's line of fire is blocked only by walls and indoor blocking. So he could also fire through characters, elevated, anything at the time. He had running shot, 8 range, 2 targets, which again is a massive at this time. Looked amazing. For me, one of the most iconic Captain America sculpts, and one that I just have to have. Coming in at number 4, we've got Surtur. Now this one is for fairly obvious reasons. He's a massive fire demon. Imagine playing this game where I don't think I had seen any figure like that. I came in at DC 75th. There was sort of flyers that looked big, but this guy just blew everything out of the water. I had seen nothing like it before. He had an 11 click dial with insane stats, just an absolute monster, and that sword could do some damage, and I don't mean in the game, just jabbing a friend with that is just And it's just such a cool figure and one that I have to have. I think I definitely still have that one actually. Continuing my love of giant monsters, number 3, Fenris Wolf. Now I never had this one, but it was a peanut based giant wolf. I had played against it again, one that I really wanted. But in this set, it had a power. Fenris Wolf deals penetrating damage to characters with the Asgardian keyword. So in this set he was insane. Imagine that in a sealed. 11 attack, blades, 140 points, colossal again, so he could reach further. He's got 10 charge anyway, which is quite good. Just an insanely strong figure, and again a really cool sculpt. Coming in at number 2, now this one was tough because I do love this next figure, but number 1 is one of my favourite figures of all time. I will do a top 10 of all time eventually. I'll get through all the sets first though. So coming in at number 2, I've gone for the super rare Ultron. Now obviously he's got 12 charge, which doesn't combo with Pulse Wave, which I could never get my head around. I think I did have this figure, but I couldn't understand why I couldn't use both, and he had both. They give him different options, I guess. He has an insane 12 printed range. Now you do not see that anymore, unless it's like a massive colossal figure, or... I mean, I'm not even sure what would have that now. There'll be something that I'm not thinking of. I think maybe some of the chases, possibly. The KC ones, not sure. Regardless, he's got 9 clicks of life. He can use mind control at 12 range, so you could tear their team apart from miles away. He takes no damage from mind control if his target has armor or robot. So if you don't remember or you didn't play then, for every 100 points of mind control you would take a click of damage. It's just silly. I'm glad they changed that. I think they changed it to 150 points and then eventually got rid of it altogether. But he's got in Dom, Pulse Wave again with 12 printed attack is just so good. 174 points, but definitely worth it. But the moment we've all been waiting for. My number 1 figure from Hammer of Thor was Odin. Of course it had to be. For me, this is the best Odin sculpt we've seen. Any figure on a throne just looks immediately cooler. That's why when they get the rights to, well, they have the rights, when they start making figures from Fantastic Four, I would love to see a Doctor Doom on a throne. Now he's got Power Cosmic, so he can't be outwit. 12 printed attack, 5 printed damage with 19 defense. I couldn't believe it. When I played against this, I couldn't believe how strong it was. 8 range with 3 targets, and he can use super strength. Now he has no move and attack. I mean, that is actually really bad. He only gets it later on, but even then he's got it with Quake, so it doesn't really combo. He is almost 300 points, so you are paying a lot for him. But I mean, looking at the sculpt, the dial, you would really struggle to get this figure down anyway, especially back then. Now I don't think it would stand up at all, but like I say, it's one of the coolest sculpts and probably one of my favourite figures of all time. I wouldn't say my top 10, but my top 20 for sure. But that's the first episode down, so next week we will be looking at The Brave and the Bold, which was where they first introed duo figures, I think. So we'll be looking through that and picking out my top 10. But until then,